Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is 49, and I will be a community shoutcaster for the OUSA Dota League Season 1. Currently, I'm watching a scrim between, not actually too sure what the teams are at the moment. I will double check that. But I'm just going to quickly go through the picks and bans. We've got Mirana, Shadow Shaman, Crystal, Maiden, Timbersaw, and Shadow Fiend. So it's looking like the Shadow Fiend mid. My name is 49, and I will be a community shoutcaster for the OUSA Dota League Season 1. And currently, I'm watching a scrim between. Not too sure what the teams are at the moment. I will double check that. And on the die side, we have Visage, Weaver, Ember Spirit, Disruptor, and we're waiting on the 5th pick. So from based off these picks, it looks like Ember Spirit could either go towards the mid or towards the safe lane with the Weaver as the off lane. Going quickly over the bans, we can see Nature's Prophet, the Lifestealer, Rubik, Templar Assassin, and the Bat Rider, whereas the die side has banned out Invoker, Ancient Apparition, Nyx Assassin, Bane Elemental, and the Slaughter. Looks like they've gone for the Luna pick, so it looks like a tri-core lineup coming up from the Dire side. We're going to see the Ember Spirit mid, Luna in the tri-lane with the Disruptor and the Visage, and Weaver most likely as the off-lane. Pretty standard lineup there. In contrast to the dual-core lineup of Radiant, they will have Timbersaw in the off-lane. So it looks like Flash will be playing the Mirana, Liger 92S will be playing Shadow Shaman, Yoshi will be playing the Crystal Maiden, Snow will be playing the Shadow Shaman, and Proton 430 will be playing
Prepare for battle.
Timbersaw. Hold on just one second. Adjusting my camera controls. And over on the Radiant side, we have Le Fromage on the Disruptor, One Last Chance over on the Visage, SSYE on the Luna, and KL Street playing that Weaver. Going over item picks. Pretty standard. Looks like Luna will be going for that early Ring of Basilius over in the tri-lane. That's an excellent item, particularly in offensive tri-lanes, as it gives the supports the extra armor, lets them trade hits better. Weaver also looks like he's going to opt for that quick Bassi Rush, as that gives him the mana region he needs to sustain himself. So it looks like the Weaver will be facing off against the Timbersaw. Pretty standard. Shadow Fiend having a few tangos pulled from the other side. Quick rotation from the Dire side into the jungle. They smoke up on the Shadow Shaman means that we should see a few mid rotations coming in from the tri-lane. Looks like they're going try be try. Not too sure what I favor in this case. With the Visage and the Luna, I would probably hand, in terms of offensive power, over to the Radiant side, just because that high amount of burst damage should come out from the Lucent Beam, particularly the Soul Assumption, as well as the Thunderstrike. However, it looks like the first one's actually on the Kinetic Field, not the Glimpse onto the Thunderstrike. We've got Quick Pulse coming out. Ember Spirit over on the middle lane. Should have a bit of a tough time over against the Shadow Fiend, especially with that low armor. However, with his higher base damage, you should be able to punish Shadow Fiend, and if he can prevent him from getting enough souls in the early game, might be able to start dominating. It looks like we're resuming the game. Bit of an interesting situation. You can see Weaver there attempting to go for the block. Usually, as on the off lane, you want to make sure you block the creep so that the range creep goes up the front. Since the range creep is the one that controls the creep equilibrium the most, if you can get the range creep to leave the wave and get picked off initially, that means that the wave will push closer towards your tower without going quite into it. We see the ward placed there by the Dire side off to block off the pool camp, as well as a defensive ward placed to block the bond room. Over in terms of last hits, we see Ember Spirit currently over there, and it looks like Visage is moving in for a rotation. With that Grave Shield, that can lead to a kill on the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend is very vulnerable to early aggression. Excellent Searing Chains off of that. Looks like he's going down. Pops the salve, and he's able to live. Good play there by Snow. Visage tanks a bit too many few tower hits. Visage, especially with low armor in the early game without that Gravekeeper's Cloak, is extremely susceptible to damage, particularly with that recent nerf that lowers his magic resistance to only 10%. Over in the bot lane, just caught the first blood. Looks like the arrow landed there, coupled with the shackle and the frost nova. So one of the advantages of destroying. Oh, and over in the mid lane, Ember Spirit takes out the Shadow Fiend. Looks like he got a bit too close there for comfort. Slater Fist coupled with the Searing Chain leads to a quick kill. One of the advantages of having Crystal Maiden, particularly in the tri lane with the Shadow Shaman, is the fact that Crystal Nova has a very high initiation range, can snare them long enough for Shadow Shaman to get in range to shackle, and then follow up with the arrow. In that sense, Crystal Maiden serves almost similar to that Earthshaker role, the fact that she can engage from very high range without risk to herself. And that Frostbite does serve as another form of CC to make sure the arrow lands. Over in the top lane, Looking pretty even there. Weaver up against the Timbersaw with Timbersaw currently leading at 6-1, Weaver at 3-0. Pre-equilibrium now that it's over at the tower will push closer towards Weaver's favour, so he'll be able to pick up a lot of farm there. Should be pretty even on that side with the Sakuchi to escape. Should be pretty difficult for Timbersaw to kill the Weaver without Sentry or TP support. Tri-lane should be where the majority of the action is going to be happening, as we do have two very strong kill lanes squaring off each other. Crystal Maiden goes in for the Nova, Shackle, bit out of range, and there we go, Shackle into the arrow, and that's another easy kill. The issue with this tri-lane is the lack of stuns to disrupt the Shadow Shaman. They do get a retaliatory kill on the Crystal Maiden with that Soul Assumption, with that Grave Shield, followed by the Thunderstrike. Ember Spirit moves in, excellent Sleight of Fist into the Searing Chain, Soul Assumption finish them all. Good rotations from the mid. And the middle lane, Shadow Shaman continues to farm. He's got 8 souls up at the moment, only 2 points up in the Necromastery. Actually, skipping Shadow Rays and going for Presence of the Dark Lord, this is very unusual. The whole point of Shadow Fiend, particularly in the early game, is to rely on the raises, as it's 900 magic damage if you can land all 3, and it also gives you an excellent flash farming mechanism to allow him to snowball throughout the early and mid game. Shadow Fiend is a hero that relies particularly on the snowball factor that he gets from his high flash farm and high offensive capabilities. Mirana's going for that Ring of Health, so it looks like she might be going the Misery build of rushing the Lincolns. We'll see if she opts to go for the Phase Boots over Treads. Snow continued to get a decent amount of CS there. Timbersaw currently leading the scoreboard in terms of last hits with 16 for 2. Luna sitting there for 13 for 2. Weaver at 12 for 1. With 11 for 7, Shadow Fiend is shutting down the Ember Spirit quite hard in terms of last hits. However, that kill over in the bottom lane, as well as that early kill in the mid lane on the Shadow Fiend, means that Ember Spirit is keeping up in terms of levels. It's actually a little bit ahead. He's choosing to max out the Flame Guard with 1 in Sleight of Fist and 1 in the Searing Chain. It's an excellent, well-rounded build, as Sleight of Fist combos especially well with the Searing Chain in the early game. As while they're being hit by the Sleight of Fist, you can pop your chain as he is doing right now, and it looks like Snow's going to go down once again. Caught out of position, locked down by the Ember Spirit, and he feeds another kill. Bit of a disadvantage, a little bit of smack talk coming out from one of the spectators. Looks like a bit of a rocky start. Over in terms of the gold lead, it's a very marginal difference, just down to the 2 kills advantage they have. EXP is much more important at this stage, about 1000 EXP difference in favor of the Radiant side. Ember Spirit now picks up the Regeneration Rune, and with that Fire Remnant up, he's looking to make a big play over into the bottom lane. Dire side seeing this, decides to wisely back off. Really not too sure what I'm seeing here with this passive Shadow Fiend build. What are the drawbacks? I mean, to an extent, I can understand why he's going for it, as it means that the Ember Spirit will have a tougher time at end lane, since Flame Guard does mitigate a large amount of the Shadow Rays damage. However, it doesn't really give him any gank or teamfight presence in the early game. That means that if they do decide to go on them as they do right now, there's absolutely nothing you can do. No TP support in from the Dire side. Very surprised about this. Oh, there we go. We have the Shadow Shaman moving in, but Snow is already in the clear. This means that the Radiant side should look to go in on the Mirana or on the Crystal Maiden right now, as there's only 2 heroes down on the bottom lane, whereas all 3 are available. We've got 1 point of glimpse up the Disruptor, so you can use that to mitigate Mirana's lead. However, he'll need at least 1 more point before he's able to catch her up. Ember Spirit continuing to farm extremely well. Looks like he's going for the Phase Boots. Excellent pickup on the Ember Spirit, as it means Sleight of Fist hits harder, he's able to move faster, and it means more movement speed for the Fire Remnant, which moves at double his movement speed. Weaver 2 looks like he'll be opting for that Lincoln Sphere. Tempest already has up his Arcane, so with level 6 that makes him very dangerous to lane against. He could throw out that ult, he could harass you with his Whirling Death and Timber Chains, and once again, looks like Ember Spirit gets another kill on that Shadow Fiend. Not too sure what's happening here. The Dire side really should look to protect that Shadow Fiend, maybe rotate one of the supports over. Looks like Mirana's quite safe at the moment. There's a lack of hard CC to lock down the Mirana, and with that leap she should be fine. Crystal Maiden can hang around the background to throw out a Nova or a Frostbite if she needs to. Quick pause happening. One last chance, apologizing for the delay. And in terms of items, Luna hasn't picked up the Ring of Basilius, which is quite surprising. That extra armor can help out the Tri-Lane as well as the extra damage. Visage looks like he most likely will be opted for the mech. We already see the ring regen up on it. Disruptor's picked up boots, nothing too spectacular. Shadow Fiend is extremely underfarmed, does not have boots. Illusion Rune picked up by the Ember Spirit. Just received his Phase Boots. Looks like he's going in for a kill attempt on the bottom lane. Crystal Maiden is called out of position. If the Ember Spirit sees this, he sees this. Throws out the Remnant. Looks like a defensive Remnant there in case. Disruption goes off. Loosen Beam, waiting for the Soul Assumption, and he goes down. Timber Spirit jumps on down, throws up the Chakram. Yoshi's taking a bit too much damage, will go down to the Ember Spirit. Timber Sword chases down left from Marju. Looks like he will get killed. No, never mind, he's forced to back out and he'll go down. Takes out Luna, very surprising.
The Radiant should really do something about that.
Able to use that Fire Remnant to zip out. You rely on the extra damage. Point blank arrow, and that looks like a kill on the Ember Spirit. This is much needed gold for the Shadow Shaman. 656 for ending that spree. Very scrappy fight. Not really too sure who came out ahead. I mean, the Radiant side did lose one of their cores, however, as well as the Ember Spirit. But they did get a few kills on the Timbersaw, as well as furthering the EXP lead. Looks like the Dire side got the better of that, as they were able to pick up 2 of the 3 cores on the Radiant side. However, on the top lane, while all this is happening, Weaver's simply farming up. We'll see if he chooses to max out the Swarm or the Gemini attack. Most likely will be opting to max out Gemini attack, as it gives him a much stronger laning presence, and if he, with the negative armor that's coming out, this is gets
under attack.
Bit of a trade there, Luna pushed up a bit too far forward. They trade the Luna once again for a support. Bit of a costly trade, but Visage is able to pick up the kill.
Middle lane is missing.
Looks like Shadow Shaman's now gone up into the jungle. Really not too sure if this passive build is working out for him. If he had those points in race, he can always clear out the small camps while he's heading over from the middle lane. Really increases his farm efficiency. Right now he's only sitting for 29 for 13. Timbersaw is picking up a vast majority of the CS, especially with that maxed out Whirling Death. He's able to spam that out. However, Weaver can sit there and take hits. He's got the time lapse if he needs to, because Sakuchi out. There's no sentries up or no dust on the top lane. It means very difficult for the Timbersaw to kill him, but he can harass another lane, or at least attempt to control him. Miranda's now picked up the Perseverance. Looks like she's about halfway towards her Lincolns with that gold up. Invisibility Rune picked up on the Ember Spirit. We'll see if he opts for perhaps a Drum of Endurance. It's a great pickup on the Ember Spirit. Gives him everything he needs, more stats, more HP, and a little bit more damage and chasing power. Over in the Miranda, she's picked up a Poor Man's Shield. I'm not too sure what I feel about this. Poor Man's Shield's usually picked up only on melee heroes, as the guaranteed 20 damage block makes it very dangerous, especially on high armor heroes such as the Bounty Hunter, or even heroes such as the Anti-Mage. Makes them very hard to pull the other lane. On the Luna, it doesn't really make an awful amount of sense. You usually want to go for either the Ring of Basilius or the Poor Man's Shield. And on ranged heroes, Ring of Basilius tends to be the right idea. Yoshi is now hovering around the middle lane, making sure that if Snow gets jumped, she'll be able to throw out a few nukes, maybe slow down the Ember Spirit, or at least if he chooses to dive, she could frostbite him. Throwing out the Slater Fist for a cheeky last hit there. Shadow Fiend continuing to farm. We'll see what item he looks to go towards. Usually with this kind of passive 0-4-4 build, you might see something like a Shadow Blade to rely on the fact that he hits extremely hard and has that negative armor aura. But in this case, it might be looking for a quick BKB to mitigate the magic damage coming out from the Radiant side. Luna's just picked up a magic wand. We've got the Visage Familiars out. Mirana's in a bit of a precarious position. She has to leap, and with... oh, it looks like that's in disruption range. Looks like Mirana will be going down. There's nothing she can do there. Eclipse thrown down. Most of it burned off in the creep wave. Got turnaround kill coming in from the Timbersaw. Excellent TP rotation. Yoshi comes in. Hex into the frostbite. Shackles before he could get off the Soul Assumption, but then unable to kill that Visage. He will do just that and blow up the Shadow Shaman before he goes down. Soul Assumption is a hell of a nuke. It's essentially a level 1 Dagon and a 4-second cooldown. That's the reason why Visage is such a strong frontline hero. He's been consistently beaten up. If you do not focus him, he will blow someone up. If you do focus him, you still most likely will take a kill unless you're able to CC him down or burst him or get off a spell. Timbersaw is sitting around 2,000 gold. Not too sure what items he'll be going towards. Shadow Fiend's just picked up treads. Oh, and over in the top lane, looks like Ember Spirit gets a free pick off. Snow really isn't having the best game at the moment. Getting constantly picked off by the Ember Spirit. Really showing you the power of this hero. Ember Spirit looks like he's just picked up an Ultimate Orb. Might be going towards something like a Lincoln Sphere.
The Dire's top tower is doing its best.
A lot of Lincoln Sphere build up these games.
Denied.
Weaver's staying on the Ring of Health. Might just be a casual Ring of Health just for the regeneration. Not too sure what he's choosing to build with that. Miranda looks like is going towards the Misery High Cap build of the Lincoln Sphere into the Phase Boots.
The Dire's top tower is doing its best.
Gives a good damage to sustainability, but the issue with Miranda as a carry is she does need an awful lot of farm. Soul Assumption flies out, followed by the Grave Chill, and Visage gets another kill. Visage is making a lot of work in this tri-lane. especially with that disruptor counterpick for the Mirana. Glimpse, it means that her leap, she could leap, but as long as he has vision of her, she will always go down.
That's got to hurt.
Looks like the Radiant side have an opportunity right now to take the bottom tower. With that Luna, with the Ring of Basilius, and with the Visage Familiars up, there's no one from the Dire side to defend. In the middle lane, Ember Spirit backs away for a little bit, munches on the tree. Timber Sword sitting at 2.1k. He could be the saving grace for his team if he chooses to go for a quick mech. The Dire side can group up, attempt to force a few fights, maybe reclaim some of their lost advantage. 4,000 gold experience lead over on the Radiant side. Blind Arrow thrown out, misses unfortunately, and Disrupted as a cheeky glimpse back to the fountain. Might pay for it with his life? No, the Dire side overcommit. Static Storm was thrown out, and that looks like a 2 for none. Excellent usage of the spells there. The kinetic field into the Static Storm means that the 2 supports on the Dire side are unable to do anything, and the Soul Assumption provides the burst damage to pick him off. Top lane, Shadow Fiend's rotated. Looks like he's simply going to try to push the tower down, maybe go for a bit of a trade. Fishing Arrow thrown out, hits Weaver right in the face. He's got his time lapse, so he's got nothing to fear. Another Glimpse thrown out.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. About time.
Mirana called out of position. Ward's thrown out with a Shadow Shaman. Good defensive placement there, but it looks like there's not an awful lot they can do. There's too much power. Looks like the Radiant side is just overrunning the Dire. Not giving a shit about the towers. Visage Familiars go down, feeding a bit of gold. Disruptor does go down to the creep aggro. Yoshi falls apart. Clinging to the Serpent Wards, but Radiant side showing no mercy. Weaver's able to mosey on out of there. He's picked up that Link's Spare, so he is very close to finishing his Lincolns.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Sorry, he's picked up that ultimate ult, very close to finishing his Lincolns. Luna's picked up Treads now. She may be opting for an early BKB to give them that strong early to mid game team fight presence, especially with that Eclipse. She might go for a bit of a greedier build now that her team's creating space, but we'll see what she does from there. Ember Spirit continuing to farm the middle lane. This Lincoln Spare pickup is going to be very detrimental, especially with heroes such as Shadow Shaman, who have both the Hex and the Shackle that you can disable, as well as the Frostbite. The only single targeted ability they have that isn't really a high priority CC is the Ether Shot, but with 3 heroes on the Radiant side potentially building Link Spares can get a bit messy, especially with both the cores, 2 of the 3 cores building it. Looks like Ember Spirit's going on the Timber Sword. Timber Sword's able to tank a few hits. He's finished up that Soul Booster, so he's very hard to bring down, especially with that reactive armor. Looking to turn around with that Mirana ult, but no one's around to provide any CC for the damage to come on out. Haste and Mirana moving in against that Luna. Luna does have the Eclipse, so Mirana is a bit worried about chasing him past the creep wave. And looks like Shadow Fiend is continuing to farm. He's got that 1 point up and Glimpse goes off. Shadow Shaman caught out of position, forced to blow his walls defensively, goes down to the Soul Assumption, and he does get an excellent trap off from the Visage. Yoshi's coming to finish him off. Looks like they finally will be able to kill that Visage, get a bit of spree gold, but Yoshi's backed away by fear of that Soul Assumption that might fly out. Crystal Maiden with only about 700 HP. 1 Soul Assumption would bring it down to very low, and looks like Weaver gets a free tower at the top lane. Bit interesting that the Visage, in an attempt to get himself out, as one of the spectators has pointed, he could simply hit down the wards and walk away. The wards do go down for about 2 or 3 hits. Had plenty of time there to walk away, but decides that, hey, it was a good ward trap, I'm going to give him a kill. Wards in there, not an awful lot being done with them. One of the issues with the Shadow Shaman is if you're unable to use, you could either use the wards to fight, or you could use them to push. Ideally, you want to use them to push as you get more gold and generate more of a lead for your team. Visage Familiars falling down the jungle, providing you a bit of scouting vision. Crystal Maiden using that Frostbite, to get a bit of farm. One of the reasons why she's picked up so much of the comp scene is the fact that whenever she's not doing anything, she could walk over, freeze a big creep, get herself a bit of gold, get herself a bit of EXP, make sure that she has ward money up. Shadow Fiend now up with 3 points in the Shadow Rays. Very surprised he chose not to go for the ult, despite maxing out Necromastery earlier. That can be a bit of a deterrent, especially if they decide to dive him, as even if they do kill him, they get him down low enough. Looks like a quick gank attack going down there. Chakram's thrown out. The Shackle is quickly interrupted by the Visage Familiars. Looks like Ember Spirit will get a retaliatory kill, and zips on out of there with that Fire Remnant. High mobility spell from the Ember Spirit. Makes him a bit of a bastard child between Storm Spirit and the Juggernaut. Can zip zap, kill everything, and then run away without engagement.
Run, little bottom tower, run.
Looks like he's almost got that Lincoln Sphere finished up. Weaver, he's got the Lincoln Sphere picked up. So the Radiant side in a dominating position right now. Shadow Fiend is opting for that BKB. We'll see if he's able to finish it in time before any huge engagements happen. Luna's sitting there about 1.5k. Decent amount of farm. She has died a large number of times to this tri-lane. It looks like Leframage tanks that arrow to the face. Nothing gonna happen. It looks like he's going towards that early Aghanim Scepter rush. Aghanim Scepter is a very strong item for Disruptor as it disables item and ability usage. So a good Static Storm into Kinetic Field essentially acts as a pseudo doom on anyone caught within. Quick item check over on the Dire side. Luna's been sitting on Perseverance and Face Boots for the past 3 or 4 minutes. Not a lot of item progression going on. She has to play very defensively in fear of that glimpse. Oh, she's being glimpsed right now. And that might even be... yeah, that's another kill on her. Was thinking she might throw out the Eclipse, but between the Static Storm and the Kinetic Field, that's enough damage to go down. Bit of miscommunication going there. Yoshi will get the kill on Leframage, but with that Eclipse throwing up, bit of a mistiming on the Eclipse. Timbersaw able to move, and the Creep Wave tanks the majority of the hits. They do trade 2 for 1. Once again, the Luna does go down, but I don't think the Radiant side's too unhappy with that. They do have 3 cores after all. Their other 2 cores are forming fine. Lincoln Sphere up on the Ember Spirit gives them great sustainability. Ooh, feeding a familiar there to the wards, and they decide just to farm the wards while they're at it. Not too sure how I feel about this Visage. He's fed his familiars twice now, both times to the Serpent wards. That is giving Shadow Shaman much needed gold. Currently sitting there with about 1k in the back. Could opt towards Arcanes, or maybe he'll be opting towards that mech. Noticing conspicuous lack of a mechanism over on the Dire side. Visage has picked up that early mech, and that in between the mechanism, the EHP from that, as well as Gravekeeper's Cloak, he is very hard to kill. And the longer he stays alive, the more soul assumptions he's able to throw out. Fishing arrow misses, and that looks like a free tower on the bottom lane. Unless they go for the deny, Timbersaw is hanging around, hopeful, and Weaver snags the kill. Slater Fist into the Searing Chains on the Crystal Maiden. Lincoln Sphere has been popped. Slater Fist again, and Ember Spirit wisely retreats. Visage is caught out of position on his own. Blind Arrow flies out, misses. That Slater Fist attrition damage, coupled with the Soul Assumption, means that they have very strong pickup power. If someone does go down, they have high range, so they can't easily take them off. Shadow Shaman goes invisible and run at ult, but the Radiant side came prepared. With Dust, they are able to pick them off. Timbersaw misses the Dust, and simply is able to move on out with that Timber Chain. However, he is glimpsed back. Called out Static Field, Searing Chain, and there's no way he's getting on around that. Radiant side are now in a dominant position on the map. Looking over at the EXP graph, we've got 10,000 EXP over on the Radiant side. Looks like an over 7,500 gold lead, and looks like they're going to lose that tier 2. Not too sure on the Dire side can bounce back from this. Snow has just picked up his BKB, but it might be a case of too little too late. The physical damage coming out from the Weaver and the Ember Spirit with his Slater Fist, coupled with the Visage familiars, might be a bit too much. Luna hasn't been farming all too well, looks like she is going for that BKB. Blind Arrow thrown out, does hit the Weaver, but Weaver with Lincoln Sphere and Time Lapse is more or less invincible in this case. Searing Chain thrown out, just clips Miranda, looks like Miranda's going down. Wards are thrown down, traps the Ember Spirit, but with the Flame Guard, as well as the Fire Remnant, it looks like he's not too afraid of that. Leframage will be going down from the look of it. Timbersaw might be able to get his cheeky little chakra. Kills him with the Whirling Death. Timbersaw is going to try to get out of there. Looks like he should be fine. No, we've got the Medallion pickup, and Timbersaw is going to go down. Great fight for the Radiant side. 4 for 1, only the Disruptor in exchange for 4. Snow, not too sure what he's doing there during that fight. He sort of decides, screw it, I'm going to go farm. And it looks like Luna is going for that BKB. She will have in about 1,000 more gold. Radiant Courier did go down during that fight. Not too sure what happened there. Fire Remnant thrown down by the Ember Spirit. One of the huge advantages of that is if he's ever ganked, so long as if you don't stun him immediately, he can zip on out. Also means that if you do TP out of the lane, that so long as you drop a Fire Remnant, the instant you've healed back up, you can immediately zip back in the lane. Looks like he's going towards that Desolator. He's just about finished it. That means the Slated Fist will do all so much damage, as well as that negative armor comboing with Weaver's Swarm. Means the supports of the Dire side are in for a pretty rough time. Arrow thrown out, Sakuchi's on out. Fishing arrow. Miranda hasn't been all too successful with her arrows, but to be fair, she has been trying. Still sitting on that Perseverance and Face Boots. That lack of Perseverance, that lack of early mid-game items such as perhaps the Drum of Endurance, or Ring of Aquila, or even something like a Yasha. Going towards that Lincoln's was a bit of a greedy move, especially on one of your cores. And Snow, he's picked up the BKB, he's got 4 points up in the Shadow Race, he is at his current peak, but there's not all too much they could do in terms of ganking any of their cores. Weaver is very slippery, Ember Spirit's very slippery, Luna's constantly being surrounded by the Disruptor, and the Visage looks like a 4-man smoke going off. Ember Spirit wisely drops a Fire Rim in the back of the middle lane in case he has to back on out. Leading the charge, he does not give a shit. Might look to catch out Shadow Shaman. Oh, blind fishing hook.
Radiant's top tower is
Moon
under
evading.
attack.
And that glimpse once again immediately kills that Shadow Shaman. He is able to drop off those wards once again. Another defensive ward placement. I don't think he's had a chance to drop them offensively to take a tower. The dire side have not taken a single tower at the moment. Excellent team fight coming out. Great Requiem of Souls completely turns the fight. That's a 10-second BKB, but for 3 kills, I think Snow will take it. And that looks like the dire side now looking to take their very first tower of the game. Ember Spirit with that Fire Remnant is able to avoid the majority of that damage, barely lives with his life. And he's going to give out that tower, there's nothing you can do. Weaver continues to push the top lane, put a bit more pressure.
Structures are fortified.
We'll see what Snow looks to go towards now with that 2k. Could be opting for a bit more damage, maybe going towards Crit Stick, maybe going towards a Desolator. Ember Spirit able to throw out those Slaves of Fists. Looks like he's going to get a cheeky pick off over on Yoshi. He's got 1 Fire Rim to escape. Throws out Slate of Fist, uses the disjoint. Lincoln Sphere is popped by the Frostbite.
Top tower is under.
Continues to hang around, he's got Slate of Fist, kills Murano with Slate of Fist, but gives up his life. Not too sure that was worth it, it's about 969 gold he just fed to the dire side. You see a bit of a dip in the EXP. Looks like the Dire are starting to make a bit of a turnaround. Radiant are getting a bit too cocky to start to throw away some of their advantage. Weaver's sitting there with an ultimate orb. Not too sure what he's going for there. He could be aiming towards the Skadi, that would be the most logical choice. But Skadi and the Weaver, it's a bit unusual. He could alternatively be going towards even the Sheep Stick. The fact that Weaver already hits pretty hard and with the negative armor coming out from the Swarm, as well as Gemini. He can be there to provide a bit of lockdown, because the Radiant side is lacking a lot of hard CC. We have the Aghanim Scepter picked up with the Disruptor. It's a very strong pickup, makes the Static Storm hurt a hell of a lot more. He's staying with that 1 point in it to lower the mana cost. Bit interesting, it only is a 50 damage increase after all. He's choosing instead to max out the Thunder Strike, which is a bit of a very potent spell. The main ability for, the main use, for the Thunder Strike is to give vision so that you can counter them back, as every lightning proc does give them vision. One of the tricks that, I believe it was Fog that was mentioning this, is you use Lightning Strike to pinpoint your glimpses, as the duration for each Lightning Strike is the exact duration for glimpse. Excellent Slate of Fist into Searing Chain combination. Uses the Fire Remnant, wants to get a bit closer to a bit more damage. Quickly kills him, but is caught a bit out of position.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Throws out another Slate of Fist. And backs on out of there. One of the strong things about that Ember Spirit is with that Slate of Fist, the longer a fight goes, the more damage you're able to dish out to your team. It's like a pseudo Omni Slash going out every 5 seconds. Huge amount of damage flying out, especially with that Desolator. We'll see if he looks to pick up a crit, and looks like he's going for that crit list. Weaver Saguchi's on through. He has picked up an item now, so looks like he is going for that Skadi. Very interesting pickup. Not too sure if it's the best item they want to go for, but I guess with that Desolator they don't need any more physical DPS. And a great pick off there from the Timber Saw. Utilizes the Chakram, gets a blind Timber Chain through as well as the Whirling Dash. Gets a good kill. That one Slate of Fist takes out 60% of Shadow Shaman's life. He is not having a fun game. With the Visage Familiars, that's another free tower taken out. Gem picked up on the Visage completely nullifies the advantage given by the Mirana ulti, as well as strangling vision for the dire side in terms of wards. They do currently only have 1 ward placed over in their own jungle, and the instant Visage walks past it, that one's going down. Looks like they will scout that one out right now. Timber Source is saving grace for the dire side at the moment. The sheer amount of damage coming out, especially with the lack of BKBs as they all opted for Lincoln Spheres, means that between him and Snow's Requiem of Souls, they are able to churn out a decent amount of magic damage, throw in a few Crystal Novas and maybe an Ether Shock, and they can at least guarantee a few kills on the squishier supports on the Radiant side. Both teams, the Radiant side is pushing up a bit more. Ember Spirit can push out and lead the charge as he has a Fire Rim he can always back out to. He wisely throws ones out towards the high ground. ensures that if he does get jumped, he can always zip out. Crit from the Sleight of Fist almost kills that Shadow Shaman in one hit. The Shadow Shaman really is unaffected at the moment. None of his ults have really been used to push. He's not surviving long enough in fights to get the shackle off, and over in the top lane, Luna getting burns out the Eclipse as well as the BKB, but gets an excellent kill over on the Timbersaw. Sleight of Fist killed by the Ember Spirit. He is having the game of his life. Once he gets that Deadless, will be doing a lot more damage. Snow takes out about half his life. Sitting there as well with that Quetzalus, relying predominantly on the magic. My flatmates are all watching me.
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Anyway.
Have a go? You can have a go.
So right now there's a 15,000 EXP lead over in terms of Aradia. There's 14,000 gold lead.
Ember looks like he sucks dirt.
39 to 22. 22 minutes remaining.
Are people actually listening to you commentate?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Looks like Weaver has picked up that Ayascadi.
I'm famous. Hey, mum.
Bit more chasing power, especially coupled with that Glimpse. Not too sure if it's the most effective item he could have gone for. Could have opted for that MKB, especially with that Desolator.
Oh, I found out.
But it does mean that in long drawn out fights, and when they do retreat, they're not getting out of there. Roshan Temp coming out from the Radiant side. Luna has picked up a Master Madness. I don't think I've noticed this before. Very interesting pickup. I guess with the BKB, she feels there's not enough physical damage coming up on side of the Dire side. Apart from the other thing, there isn't an awful lot of physical damage coming out. Mirana isn't hitting hard enough to really justify any form of physical DPS. She is chosen to go towards that BKB now, decided that the Lincolns was a bit of a greedy pickup and that she wouldn't be finishing that anytime soon. The drawback with Mirana as a carry is that she doesn't hit very hard. She needs a lot of items before she can start hitting very hard. She needs the Max Spell, she needs the MKB, maybe a Butterfly, or even the Maelstrom. She just throws a nice damage on that. Throws out a Blind Arrow, hits a creep. Not an awful lot happening. We've got the Siege Glaives flying out, harassing the Timbersaw. We'll see if the Dire side can hold their lane. We've got the Edges of the Immortal over on the Luna, so she's not afraid to tank a few spells. She does have the BKB up, Eclipse will be up in about 20 seconds, so she does have that T5 potential. Arrow flies out, doesn't achieve too much. Luna decides that enough is enough, pops her in Mask of Madness and starts hitting the tower. Takes a hit from Snow, reconsiders that strategy, thinks maybe I should back off a bit, get a bit more HP. Fire Remnant thrown down to ensure that Ember Spirit does get picked off. He can always jump back. It means that he can poke his head out, occasionally throw the Sleight of Fist like he did right now. 400 damage on Timbersaw. If he's able to get a few hits over onto the Shadow Fiend or the Crystal Maiden, he can either force him to down or even kill them if he gets a good crit off. Crystal Maiden does have that force staff. Ooh! Disruptor forced to use his ult on Snows. Looks like Snows got out of position. Killed before he uses Requiem. Yoshi's going to go down to the Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit having the time of his life. Forcing away 3 members on the Dire side. Throws out Sleight of Fist and Searing Chain. That's a triple kill for him. Snow buys back. Forces pop his BKB. Goes in the middle lane. Dies after he pops his Requiem. Luna's able to ignore it. Does pop the edges. Timbersaw goes down. Looks like a full amount of life. And this looks like game codes. 29 minutes and 44 seconds. Looks like the Dire side is dying uncle. And they're going over to the next game. Alright, we're just going to take a short break and we'll be right back.